I mean, as soon as we're off this call, I'm hopping on a mastermind call with some people that I've known for many years. We used to be in one, we're starting it up again. I'm in two other groups. I'm constantly learning, and each one has a different focus. One is purely sales, purely B2B outbound. This one is entrepreneurs with businesses like mine, so we're just kind of helping one another. Another is purely a marketing group, focused on copywriting. So, what are you doing? Where are you investing your time and money to grow? And if you're stagnant, it's probably because you stopped learning.
Right. And so do you think, because I know you mentioned that you do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and you've been doing it for several years. Has that played a role in you being successful, or your disciplinary aspects of being sales or being a business owner?
Um, Maybe. I mean, I've always been disciplined. Um, I've always stayed active. Um, I think it has made me more patient,
Mm,
because jujitsu is not something you just pick up quickly. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
wow.
Took almost 9 years to get my black belt. And that's fast. You know, most people are 10 to 12, but I mean, I train a lot. Most people train like 3 days a week, and I train 5 to 6 and always have.
Yeah.
So I put the time in, but it's a brutal sport. It's a humbling sport. Does not matter what you've done in the past. You will get humbled when you first step in. Um, so it made me more humble, made me more patient. Um, it has helped me, think a little more strategically about things. Um, have a bigger vision. I've had a spreadsheet since I started. They had a picture on the wall showing kind of the timeline at each level. And I've tracked it ever since. I know like the number of days
Wow.
between each promotion, and I've got it projected out to the next belt, which is like 27 years away. So it's helped me, think longer term.
Yeah. That's such an interesting too, because I find that a lot of people, especially in sales, and when you talk to these people, they're not. I've always some people I always found they're not very sociable, or they're very like not disciplined themselves in a lot of different things. I feel like it's so like it almost feels like a skill you have to develop in order to actually do that actual job, because not just some people are very natural at it, like with conversation, but I feel like there's always a training aspect of like, okay, there's something you have to learn. And like you mentioned before, there's a learning step to it, and you always keep learning and growing because of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to stay active. You got to stay at it. I mean, there's always fundamentals that don't change, but there's always plenty of things, on the periphery that, like to make any sale, you must make every sale. Little
Yeah.
things matter. Do you have typos in your emails? What is your email signature? I had a guy I was working with. It was a marketing firm, and this guy was going after a prospect. It was a good opportunity, and he replied back he didn't want to work with them because he said their Instagram account was not indicative of their quality that they were saying. I was like, what? Because they had good social media presence. Well, this one sales guy, he had a link in his email signature to his own Instagram account that was brand new and had like one post, no followers. And I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't link to yourself in your email signature. Link to the company until you have something, right? But that one oversight cost him a nice opportunity,
Yeah.
you know. But people don't want to look at the little things. But the little things are all that matter. The little things make up our lives,
Mm.
And so to make any sale, you must make every sale. We overlook things. I tell people all the time, if you're getting an objection all the time, you are inviting it into your life. You're inviting that prospect to give you the objection. We do that through weak words, weak tonality. The example I always use is like, you're looking at some software and you say, well, Wes, how much is it? And I'm like, Josh, well, um, it's normally $3,000 set up, and it's usually $500 a month. How would you respond to that?
I would say, great. I don't know.
Well, I say normally, right?
Yeah.
And you'd probably say, well, what is it today, or what is it for me?
Mm.
So that tonality, well, it's usually this much. But what is usually? Does that mean I get a deal? Oh, it's the 29th of the month. It's the end of the quarter. Do you have any specials? Yeah, let me check.